Let's see.
I think this is good. This is okay.
Okay,
Truth is, this is a little bit.
Now you
Oh, you see it. You see how it is. It's good.
So,
Or I can just do like. Good. Then this can be here. Maybe we'll do this a little higher. There we go. Perfect. Now it's perfect.
now you're saying, Hollywood.
Okay, so as you see, it's not published, so in your student mode, you won't see this. You won't see this yet because I didn't publish it, but I'm going to publish it right now. Okay, so officially starting from this moment, you can start seeing it. And this is the assignment, okay? The assignment is, it's meant to be an essay. Students who, give me like 2-line answers, I fail them. It's not meant to be a 2-line answer. Students meant to elaborate. There's 2 purposes in assignments. Number 1 is to give a student the ability to do their own research, which is super important when you're dealing with rabbinics. You can't be spoon-fed all information. You gotta be able to do things on your own. Number 2, it's also about the putting together the subject in your own words. As I know from my personal experience, when you summarize something on your own, you begin knowing things that you didn't know earlier just in a class. Things come up. Everybody picks certain things, enters certain things on. But when you're forced to write everything down, then suddenly you realize, hey, I didn't think about that. Okay, so I'm not going to read it off. You can go after class. You have the whole week to do this. We basically discussed most of the stuff in class. We will be completing the rest of the information relating to this assignment today in today's class. Did I press? Yeah, we're live. Okay. So let's now go back to.
And the source information is in the book? Or?
Everything is in the book. Everything's in the classes that we did for the first assignment, except where I said I want everyone to come up with 3 more examples of cases of Makeh B'Patish. So then we can, it'll be nice, we'll compare it the week after, next week in Mirz Hashem. So let's get straight to the PowerPoints. So they're fine, no homework. No, that the only people who are signed into the system have a bit. I mean, if you want to print it out and give them papers of the assignment, I have no problem. That's not an issue. But in terms of accessing it through the actual site, I can't sign anyone up who's not actually. The truth, maybe I can put them in as an observer. I have to see what observer status does. I'm not sure what an observer does, if he has access to anything or not.
Well, the second shiur, right?
Yeah, this is the second shiur. The second shiur is going to be half on this PowerPoint, and the other half is going to be on the next PowerPoint, as you're going to see.
So we go back to the first PowerPoint?
We're in the first PowerPoint. You'll see it right here on the board. Okay, so let's do a little bit of review, sum up of what we learned thus far. Today in the book, you don't have one yet. I hope it's going to come in this week.
What page are you on in the book?
In the book, I'll tell you in a moment. We are on page 39. Okay, so I'm going to review. So we're really on page 1 from the review. And page 39 in the book. And hopefully by the end of today, I plan on getting to page 45. And your homework will be from page 45 till the end of the chapter. It's from page 45 until page 54. So about 10 pages. Okay? To read on your own. And so it's like this. Let me explain how we're going to be doing the classes. The main focus of how I want to use the time for our classes is to focus mainly on the complex cases, but complex cases that really relate to halacha l'maisa, things that come up in your homes or that may come up. Throughout the book, we're going to see scenarios, and it's very relevant in this subject, that are not really so practical. They're like old day stuff, like the way today's doors are all on hinges. Back in the day, they had many different forms of doors. So I don't want to take the time of spending so much time on it. And therefore, so that's something I would give you. It's very complex, but I'll give you that to learn on your own. But we also wouldn't question in the test. We don't put so much emphasis on that, being that, again, it's not as relevant. Okay, so you have a lot of material here that I just gave you that is not, making holes in barrels. How many people here have barrels of beer, barrels of wine? Right? Okay. So as you see, but until that page, we have a lot of relevant information. So, okay, let's begin. We explained last week that Makeh B'Patish is an Av Malacha, principal Malacha in the Torah. And the principal Malacha that's in the Torah is explained in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, chapter 302, Halacha 5. brought in Masechah Shabbos, Daf Ayin Daled, Amud Aleph, page 74a. We didn't say that last week, but that's where all the Av Malachas are brought. If you ever want to see a list of all the 39, that's where you look. Masechah Shabbos, Tractate Shabbos, I believe it's page 8, Ayin Daled. That's an easy way to remember. Aid, testimony.
80.
Not 80, 74. But in Hebrew, it's Ayin Daled, which spells the word aid. So if you ever need aid in finding the place, just remember that. That's where it is. Okay, so we said that the Av Malacha of Makeh B'Patish is somebody who is in the finishing stages of making a pot, and he has some bumps left. It's fully cookable, fully usable, but it doesn't look very nice. So he takes the hammer and he smoothens it out so it now is marketable. That's the final stage. So even though he did absolutely nothing to make it more usable, nonetheless, he finished the marketing aspect of it, and therefore that is the Av Malacha, and we learned from there many toldos that would be forbidden, such as drawing a picture on a vessel in order to then sell it, like on pottery, or we said a practical example of somebody putting a sticker on the soda bottle in order to then sell the soda bottle. Anything that's considered like a trademark, which is put on before it is marketed, would be considered, aside for a possible taifer prohibition, which is in chapter 340 of sewing things together, which includes gluing things together, would be this Av Malacha of Makeh B'Patish. We said that basically any stage of fixing an item on Shabbos, whether it's the beginning, the end, the middle, would fall under this prohibition, even though it's not the end. And that was the chiddush that we said, that it doesn't have to be literally the end malacha. Anything that's part of the process of making the vessel, and certainly if the person made a vessel from scratch, it would be considered under the biblical prohibition. We did mention, however, that in some cases we say it's the prohibition of boineh, building, and maybe not necessarily Makeh B'Patish. I said last week it's not very clear when we make that switch and say it's boineh instead of Makeh B'Patish. There's practically no ramification. Either way, it's a biblical prohibition. We said last week that fixing without intent, it's a big chiddush by Makeh B'Patish, that somebody who fixes an item without intent to do the fixing, meaning he did an action which ended up doing something that fixed the item, we said he does not transgress, as it's only considered a transgression of Makeh B'Patish if your intent was to fix. So if you didn't intend to fix anything, then it is not considered a prohibition. The example we gave from the Shulchan Aruch was somebody who plucked grapes from his myrtle branch on Sukkos, and he has no need for it, and he ended up making it kosher. Right? We said last week, we explained the details of that. The point is that if you don't have intent, it needs to be. Now we said that the chiddush of this was that by other malachis, and somebody sent a question, and that's why I'm mentioning this. Somebody asked the following question. We have a general rule in Hilchos Shabbos that it's only prohibited if it's meleches machshavos. Meleches machshavos means that you consciously intended to do so. For example, if I walked out of the bathroom and my back was a little too close to the door because somebody else was next to the other side trying to get in, happens down here all the time, and I ended up hitting the light switch and boom, lahi chayshech. Did I transgress anything? Absolutely not. Meleches machshavos. You didn't intend. The Torah only prohibited conscious actions. So seemingly, what am I saying? That this is a law by Tikkun Kli? This is a law on all Hilchos Shabbos. Only conscious actions are considered under a prohibition.
That's called unintentional then also? No, that's not the same thing as shogeg.
By mistake? No, that's not shogeg. That's not a malacha. It's not a malacha. Shogeg would be, I woke up in the morning, I'm all, I have my morning blur, I don't even know what day it is on Shabbos morning, and I turn on the light by mistake. That's shogeg. Somebody who spontaneously turns on off light after using the bathroom is shogeg. But somebody who by mistake turned it on, that's the difference by mistake. What do you mean by mistake? You consciously did it. You just did it behesach hadas. You did it without thinking properly. That's not called by mistake. By mistake is, my back hit the wall without paying attention, and it turned on the light. So that's a case where there's no shogeg, there's no karbanis. You don't have to bring anything. They don't write that down in the rap sheet above. It's not written.
Sweet.
Nothing to talk about, right?
Right off
So,
that's
right.
It's more like negligence.
In the
No,
case
it's
of
not
the
even
back, that my back hit it,
It's not even that. That's not
Well,
even that.
you're a lawyer. You're thinking from a legal perspective. But right, in the legal world, maybe we can say sometimes you're negligent. But the Torah,
Intentional.
the Torah did not consider that a malacha at all. It's not considered at all a malacha on Shabbos. Now, so how do we make peace between these two statements? On the one hand, I'm saying this is a special by Tikkun Kli. On the other hand, I'm saying that no, this applies everywhere. So the answer is like this. We have a concept in Hilchos Shabbos called psik reisha. We've mentioned this many times. That is inevitable, an action that causes an inevitable occurrence of another malacha. Now, in that case, too, technically, we can apply the rule malechas machshavas. When I open the door of the fridge, I have no intent to turn on the light. When I am dragging this is the case in the Mishnah, when I'm dragging my bench on an earth floor, I have no intent to make ditches in the floor. But nonetheless, the Torah says that if an action will inevitably, meaning for certain, cause a consequential second action to occur, and that second action is a prohibition, then it's asur. It's forbidden to do on Shabbos. So when do we say that meleches machshavas exempts you, and you don't have to bring a carbon, nothing? It's when it wasn't inevitable. And this is the big bluff. What I just explained to you now blows up the whole big bluff of the attempted Shabbos candle, the Shabbos switch. The Shabbos switch. You guys know about it? A few years back, they came up. Someone who I'm sure he had good intentions for whatever he was trying to do, came up with a switch that you can turn on and turn off lights on Shabbos. Huh? Yeah, using all these grummas. Yeah. And the problem is that none of this helps, because in the end of the day, it will happen. It will turn on. So you made a system that is only going to turn on after 50 cycles, but it's going to turn on for sure. That's number one. Number two, even if it's not going to turn on for sure, let's say he made it in a way that it won't work every few times. So nonetheless, you're intending on that to happen. The only time we say that both grama or non-having intent works is in the case that it's not inevitable. In other words, to be mutter, it has to be not inevitable, and you can't have intent. If any of those are not fulfilled, it's asur on Shabbos. So it's like the case, is it inevitable when I'm walking with my back on the wall for me to turn on the light? No, it depends on your position, depends on a million things. Is it inevitable when I'm walking to shul on Shabbos, I'm going to step on an ant? It's possible. I'm sure we kill many bugs when we walk every day unnoticeably, but it's not an inevitable occurrence, okay? However, if you have well, for sure, if you have intent, that's for sure, asur. Not Torah, to kill an ant or whatever. It could be even derabanan. We'll learn that in 316. In certain cases, derabanan. But let's say I have what do they call it? A nachal of ants, a trail, okay, of 1,000 ants, and they're making a huge thing. I'm not allowed to walk over. I'm not allowed to walk on Shabbos. If I can walk over, that's fine. But if it's too wide, and this has happened, I've seen this happen, especially in Miami, where we used to have a lot of red ants, fire ants. Yeah, those things are nasty, and we would get huge trails of them. And if you have to go around. If you can't walk over them. I once got a shiloh of a guy who wrote to me Erev Shabbos. He says, "What do I do? I have this. I broke out this. We were suffering from ant infestation. Next to my house, I basically blew up this ant colony, and now I have gazillion ants right in my front door. Walking, and there's like a trail. And I'm like, how do I leave my house on Shabbos? I can't go around. It's surrounded. Like you're stuck. Nothing I can tell you. You're stuck at home. Yeah." So why? Because once again, I'm not intending. I couldn't care less. I don't want to kill the ants, but nonetheless, it's inevitable. So only if it's not inevitable. So the chiddush here is that even if it's inevitable, okay, when I go ahead and I pluck those fruits from the myrtle branch, I automatically made it kosher. There's no way to withhold that, to prevent that. It's automatic, okay? When I go ahead and I pour water into the plastic cup and it melts, that's inevitable. Chiddush here is, even if it's inevitable, it's not a malach. if you didn't intend on it. So that's the novelty. Any questions on that?
So you went out the front, that person went out the front door. It was inevitable to get squashed, he would kill the ants.
So he had to stay home. But since it's inevitable, he had to stay home.
He had to stay. I would think that since it wasn't his intent, he could go on.
That's what I just said. Even when you're not intending to do it, we only apply the rule of meleches machshavas in a case that's not inevitable. That's my whole point right now.
It was inevitable.
Bottom line is like this. Baruch Hashem, as Jews and religious Jews, we have a lot of concepts in our head. The problem is that it's a big cholot. We don't know when the concepts apply, when the concepts don't apply. That's why we're learning. So every concept, every term has its applications. Of cases that we say yes, we give a check. In cases we say no, no good. So meleches machshavas, you can scream about it all day. Bottom line is that if it's an inevitable occurrence, it's forbidden.
Oh, whether or not.
Correct.
So I remember hearing that there was a concept, people people have these automatic lights to turn on, not here.
You say when you pass by.
And you pass by and you're going to turn on that light to go on.
Very good. So these are very complex Hilchos Shabbos questions that where I really I don't like posketing on them because they're very complex. And they're also tough because what are you supposed to tell the guy? You can't go out of your apartment the whole Shabbos? They're tough shilas and it's very complex. Bottom line is like this. Those cases enter this sugya where you're not intending, but it inevitably happened. But then we have some other heterim that we can throw in, which is way beyond this class and way beyond this course even. It's not even taught in my course. This is like after you've learned all of Hilchos Shabbos from beginning to end, you can start answering these type of shilas and going through them. I'll just give an example of some of the things that we enter into the equation. Do you benefit from the light turning on? Do you not benefit from it? What's the necessity of you walking through this area? Why are you doing it? Is it like in your building? You have no way of getting upstairs? What type of light bulb is it? Is it fluorescent? Is it LED? Is it with a filament? So there's a lot of things that enter into here that will go into the final process. And at times, even with all the information, we say no, you can't. And at times we say yes. So those are complex shilas. There's also that the fact is that it's turning on through you walking through, which is not considered a regular way of turning something on. It's a shinoi. So whenever we have a case that we've been able to demote it to a rabbinical or a rabbinical of a rabbinical, and it's a time of need or sarich mitzvah, there's different calculations we can make, a Rav can make to make it mutter. But those are already, as I said before, very complex questions that are built on information that you collaborate throughout learning Hilchos Shabbos.
Who agree? Can we get like a framework at least in the beginning?
A framework?
Yeah, like
well, I gave you.
We know if that's I guess it, then the intent.
I mean, I pretty much gave you the details of what would enter the equation. It's not one rule fits all. It's not one shoe fits all. There's different equations.
Like for example, we went traveling and we found out that there was a light that turned on. So we went
So
to
if
the
you have a
rabbi,
specific shiloh, you can tell me.
No, so we just knew it was going to go on. We knew we were going to walk by it, so you know about it. It's one thing if you don't know about it and you're walking down the street and it goes on. There's nothing to do about that. Yeah. That's different. But when you see the light before you go out and you're going things somewhere Shabbos, it's not your house and you have to figure out another way. And so.
Bottom line is it's a big problem. There are, if it's a fluorescent or LED light, there are places who are matir it. There are places who say it's mutter. And with a filament light, it's a much bigger issue. And you have to be aware. You have to be aware. Okay. We then went on. So can we? Yeah, we're done. Good. We unintentionally entered the subject of intention.
Grama was mentioned, so why don't you just clarify? That's like
what was mentioned?
Grama was mentioned.
Oh, don't get me into grama. We'll be here all day.
Okay, sorry. But the opposite of separation.
We're going to learn when we reach chapter 316. There's going to be a major grama halacha there, and then we'll open up the Pandora's box about grama, and that will also blow up the big bluff of the Shabbos switch, which is extinct. It never made it because it was everybody protested against it. Anyways, okay. Tikkun Kli. So we went through Tikkun Kli by clothing. This is the last thing we did, and to summarize this, we explained from the Alter Rebbe in the next sif that any fixing of a garment is also fixing a vessel. This is where we said it's interesting because the mind wouldn't necessarily think picking off one of those, what did we call them? The cloth balls, the lint balls, is a malacha. No, it's a malacha to complete because you're now benefiting. You're enhancing your garment. So to do this on Shabbos would be asur to complete. Anything that enhances your garment, removing things that are attached to it, or even pieces of straw that are sticking out, would be an isur deraisa to complete. But we said, and this was a chiddush, that in this case, even if you do it unintentionally, what do you mean unintentionally? That you're just, you're bored during chazanas and you're starting to play with your clothing. You're not intending to benefit it. Nonetheless, it's also Madurabanan, we said. It's still rabbinically forbidden, even when done without intent to fix. This was and the reason we said is, anyone remember? Because if you allow people to do it without intent to fix, they may come to then do it with intent to fix. You have 50 lint balls. You took off 3 unintentionally without intent to fix. It looks pretty nice. All right,
So why don't we worry about the branch and the areas of the branch that unintentional was allowed in that case?
There are no tough questions in class.
That's true, right?
The Chachamim made a gzeira by the clothing case. We don't find a replica of that in the other cases. I have to think about it. Maybe you can come up with something. Put it in the question and answers of the comments. I don't know. Think about it. We talked about the smashed hat. And review 2 more things. So from the smash tab, we opened up a discussion about how tikkun kli only really applies in a case that either you're doing it for the first time, you're making the item for the first time, or you're not making it for the first time, but you're fixing it. It broke, and now you're fixing it. However, a hat that just got smashed, somebody sat in your Shabbos hat and you just put it back up, is not considered fixing. Why? Because it's not the first time it's being done. If this was the first time, then it will be tikkun kli, for sure, the raisa. If it's not the first time, we said that when we gave the pillowcase, which we'll review again in the coming slides of the examples, we're up to today, page 39, we said that when it's a very easily done fixing, and the fixing is not attached, it's like returning, feathers to the pillowcase, which can come right out again, then the Chacham don't consider that. The Torah doesn't consider that as if you're fixing anything. And so with a hat, it's not viewed as just you're fixing something. It's an amateur job. It's not going to stay. It's not similar to the needle case that bent out of shape and then you bend it back. So that's what we explained. Okay, so now we're moving on to new material. Okay, so somebody asked.
I didn't get to do it because I wasn't on.
You asked, correct. You asked last week, and it's a great question. I wanted to enter this into my book for a while. It was actually entered into the new edition, which isn't yet published. So and the Shaila has come up very often. I've gotten the Shaila many times. Person bought a new Shabbos shirt, a new Shabbos pants, a new suit, and sometimes you forget to take off the tag. Okay. Sometimes people, they like wearing the tag. It says Calvin Klein. They want to, or a little Hilfiger. And then they walk into shul and somebody tells them it's such a beautiful suit, but you're not supposed to wear the tag. You're not really supposed to wear this. Says, oh, really? Says, yes, you're not supposed to wear it. So it doesn't look very good. You have it. Right, but on the inside.
It's still, when I feel good.
You can make you feel good, okay. So can you remove the tag? I want you guys to answer the question. You guys just got the Shiloh Shabbos. What's the answer? You have the information.
No.
It's not a trick question.
No, it's the first time.
It's completing
100%
But if
asur.
you ripped it off and there's a piece, that's my question. Still left.
One second, let's just deal with the main question, okay? Taking this thing off right here, 100% asur min atayra. Not Torah. It doesn't seem like you're doing anything. The mind, without learning, will just like, what am I doing? I'm just removing a thing. It's completely usable. The clothing is usable. This is the finishing touch. The only people who walk around with clothing on tags are those who would plan on returning the clothing after they use them. It happens, unfortunately. It's Geneva, but people do it. There was a whole story of a guy, a chassan before his chasana. He wanted to get a very, very expensive suit. It cost 10,000 shekel. And he didn't have the money, so his friend told him this idea. He went to a store in Tel Aviv. He bought the suit. According to Israeli law, you have 14 days to return. He bought the suit for his chasana, and he returned the suit to the owner with a week after the chasana, and he asked for a refund. He got back his money for the suit. All of a sudden, he then realized that 30,000 shekel worth of checks were left in the suit pocket. And he realized, oh my gosh, this is a big fashla. And he had to go back and speak and find them. And then when the guy heard, oh, so you wore the suit for your wedding, he was caught red-handed, basically. And so this story made it public, and part of his tshuva was to make the story public, etc. Okay, so yeah, those are types of people that don't remove this. Bottom line is that it's considered tikkun kli. So now what's your question?
Now, a lot of times you remove the tag, but a lot of times a piece of plastic stays in there. It's still left in. You don't see it till later. You don't see it till later.
We said before, you have a plastic thread sticking out of your garment. You can't pull it out. Yeah, 100%. Still tikkun kli. It would still be forbidden to do on Shabbos under the Issa D'Oraisa of Takin Moneh. Okay, so we're going to now go through in the book, for those who have one, on page 39, we're going to quickly go through the examples brought in the Alter Shulchan Aruch, including afterwards we'll go through some examples of my own that I compiled. So placing stuffing into a pillow, that's our first one. This is recorded in chapter 340, halacha 14, siman shin mensif yudalid, and we already did this because we used this to build a rule. And again, so let's just summarize the halacha. The halacha is that I'll read you what the Alter Rebbe writes. Moichin, which is stuffing, which fell out from a pillow, are permitted to be returned. So stuffing that fell out of the pillow, whatever type of stuffing it is, it's not muktzah. Why is it not muktzah? It's not muktzah. If it was, how can you return it, right? Why is it not muktzah? Because your pillow is a vessel. It was a prepared vessel before Shabbos, so the stuffing was part of the vessel. And now that the stuffing fell out, it's considered an item removed from a vessel that can still be returned to the vessel and therefore still retains its vessel status. It's a general rule of things that come apart on Shabbos and can be returned, that the item, if you're allowed to return the item, is not muktzah at all. Since in this case you are allowed to return the stuffing, so it's not muktzah.
But what if it's Friday?
What if this happened Erev Shabbos?
Shabbos, yeah.
So what? It was still a vessel before. It was a vessel sometime in its life. It was a working vessel and can become again a working vessel on Shabbos. So you're allowed to return it. So it's not muktzah. Sometimes people think backwards. I tell somebody that it's mutter to do this and this, and then they ask, well, why isn't it muktzah? No, it's the opposite. Okay, if something is usher to do, then it becomes muktzah. Except for, let's say, stones and things like that. The things that are a vessel, if you're allowed to use it on Shabbos, and there's no reason it should be muktzah. The only reason it becomes muktzah if you're not allowed to use it on Shabbos. One feeds the other. Okay? So in this case, there's no muktzah issue because you are allowed to return it. However, to initially do it on Shabbos, that would be usher. So if you just got right before Shabbos, or even Friday night, let's say, in America, your Amazon delivery box just came on the drone. You see a little bird with a little box landing on your front step in the middle of your Friday night meal, and they just delivered the goose feathers for your new pillow. Problem: you cannot stuff your pillow on Shabbos. Just sleep on the package. Huh? I have the lining of the pillow, but I wanted to get special goose feather stuffing, so I ordered from Amazon goose feather stuffing. Arrived on Shabbos or arrived before Shabbos and didn't have time. Only if it's returning it, but if it's the first time you're building it, then it is a problem. That's tikkun kli, finishing the kli. That's the first time. You can't get out of that. In other words, by the first time, we don't go into if it's easy, if it's quick, professional, amateur, we don't care. Any finishing touch is awesome. Next case, fixing a needle. So we also mentioned this case last week. This is again from chapter 340, siman shin mensif yud ches, and that is that a needle which is bent out of shape even slightly is forbidden to be straightened on Shabbos. So, for example, if you're having some zipper difficulties, such as your zipper got stuck or your zipper fell off, whatever it is, and you need the assistance of a pin, of a safety pin, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. This happens all the time. So you enter the safety pin into, not all the time. You get good. You have Calvin Klein. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So we enter the needle into the little hole of the zipper, and then we use it as a handle to open and close. Now, often it happens that needle bends out of shape. Can you bend it back into shape? The answer is absolutely not. Now, if it bends out of shape in the process of opening up the zipper, that I don't care about. You're not intending to do, then you don't want that to happen. And what did I fix? I broke. So that's fine. But to bend it back into shape, that's fixing, and that's us to do. We can't say, oh, it's like returning a pillow stuffing. No, it's not.
Talk about safety.
Yeah, safety.
As soon as you open it, aren't you bending it out of shape?
Correct, but that's meant to be that way.
Okay,
That's
so you
meant
open and
to.
close the safety.
100%,
Okay.
yes. I agree with you. You're physically doing a bending action, but it's not broken when you open it. That's how it works.
Are you saying you can't bend it and then use it, but you're saying if it bends in the process of using it as a zipper handle, you can put it back?
So let me make it very clear. To bend it back into shape, for it to work, is usher on Shabbos because of tikkun kli. Okay? It takes 2 seconds. Anybody can do it. You don't have to send it to a professional to fix your needles. Doesn't matter. But you're fixing it in a way that it will remain like that way forever, unless you physically and forcefully bend it again. Okay? So that's not like the pillowcase. This is a permanent, much stronger type of fixing, and therefore it's also to do on Shabbos. So the process of using your safety pin, I gave a case example of a zipper, but whatever it's for, that it bent, you have to be careful not to absentmindedly bend it back into shape. It's usher.
But safety pin is a safety pin. You're talking about straight pin.
A straight pin and a safety pin. A safety pin, okay, if you use it and it bent, the area that opens got bent, so it now is like this, okay? You cannot now straighten it. It's also
Right,
to straighten
that
it.
I understand.
So what don't you
So how does
understand?
it apply to a safety pin?
If the
You can
safety,
open and close
again, a safety pin you can open and close, no problem. I closed it in my zipper,
Yeah.
and now I'm using it to lift up and
it.
put down my
okay.
zipper.
Or-
As I'm doing that, it bent, so now I made a little droop in the metal.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's not working anymore.
Got it.
I gotta go, and it's not working, so I wanna bend it back into shape. So in such a case, I don't wanna say what you have to do, but get some
Walk with your
assistance.
flyover.
You know,
Something we learned.
Good fine.
what's that?
Hey, that's
Said
good.
something you learn on the fly.
Right.
Okay, so you can't do it. It bends while you're using it, you can't do it.
Yeah, so bottom line is, whenever using a safety pin on Shabbos, I've seen people do this just out of habit. You have to be very careful not to bend it back into shape at all, even a drop, nothing. Okay? If it bends out of shape while using, that's ruining it. That's not tikkun kli. Okay? But to bend it back into shape is a problem. So let's move on that basis. So that's a straight up halacha. That's an Alter Shulchan Aruch.
That's the part I didn't understand last time. While you're using it, it bends out of shape, and you can bend it back?
Cannot.
Can't.
Never.
You
can never bend back a needle or a safety pin.
You use
Back
the
into
safety pin
shape.
as its normal usage, open it and close it, but if it's anything outside of that, it's.
Okay? So let's have some examples. May one straighten a bent yarmulke pin clip on Shabbos. So this also sometimes happens. I have people who use yarmulke pins. What do we call them? Yarmulke pin. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
those two.
Okay. So if this thing got bent out of shape somehow, you have a strong one. I don't know how this would happen. Let's say it does.
No, it
It's
does.
also the fix. But you have also for girls' hair that they put in these pins.
Wow, you can't
They bend out of shape. You can't fix those. No, it's also to fix those. These people aren't aware of it because it's just you don't think about this as fixed. This is time. I'm just moving something a little bit, an inch here, a centimeter here.
Oh.
So fixing, it's also do it on Shabbos.
But in this, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not an easy, these things are meant to move a lot.
They're not meant clips. They're not meant, no. The safety pin is meant to open and close. They are not meant to then go in a 90-degree angle. That's.
No, but
They're not meant to bend out of
yarmulke.
shape. They're not meant to bend out of shape. They're not meant to do that. That's when you need a new one.
But it's interesting that you can still use them even though that you can end up.
Yeah, we said before, tikkun kli is not about making something from unusable to usable. That was our first point, that he's making a picture on the item. He's smoothing it. It's about beauty. It's about doing anything that's an act of
The
fixing.
clip you just used, it bends this way, that way.
But that's meant to be that way.
Yeah.
That's fine. Again, anything that's meant part of the usage, that's not, nobody would consider that fixing. You're calling it fixing, it's called using. Okay?
So making the safety pin, if you want to, you unhooked it, and now you want to make it more straight.
No,
No way.
no, you're having a tough time with this one. Okay. There's no loopholes here. Maybe inside the safety pin there's a hole. There's no loopholes. Correct. They want bend a plastic cup into shape. We discussed this last week. I think we discussed this last week. So let's say you put down, you were asked to bring a whole bunch of cups from the cupboard and they came from the delivery, all smashed up, and you need to bend them back into shape so people can drink from it. Plastic disposable cups. Can you do so on Shabbos? Okay, you'll finish in a minute. The answer is that it is, you guys say.
They're pieces of
Listen, guys, we have here 2 bottles of soda. We just made Kiddush, and everybody wants to drink, and there's a whole bunch of smashed cups. Can you put them back into shape? Disposable plastic cups. Can I straighten them?
New cups. So it's like.
No, there are no new cups.
Could be like drink from the bottle. Could be a thing.
Yeah, it's a vessel. It's easy to move back and forth. These are the pieces of craft from Israel.
Motors, go ahead.
You do it back and forth.
It's motor. Exactly. This is a very simple fixing. You don't have to send it to a professional. It bends back. You're holding it. It smashes. It's not considered an action.
You should just, if you don't want to do that, you pour the soda in a hat. Yeah, because it's
that Shoelace actually brought in Hilchos Untitled Chapter. If the vacuum inside of a hat the hole can be used as a washing vessel.
So the reason why, to clarify for sure, the reason why is that dent in the plastic cup is something that comes and goes.
Exactly. It comes and goes very easily. It's not like you don't have to you don't have to smash into an iceberg in order to bend the plastic. Right. Exactly. So that's the next question. May one bend back into shape in indented Kiddush cup? You just bought a beautiful new silver. Now, silver, 1 second. If you have a iron or stainless steel Kiddush cup, you need a professional to bend back into shape. But thin silver is a very light metal, and you can do it with your hands sometimes, okay? Can you do that? It's very annoying to see your Kiddush cup with a beautiful Kiddush. Absolutely not. Tikkun Kli. That would be Tikkun Kli. Because it's a permanent change. It's a permanent fixture.
Same as the clip.
Easily bent back into shape.
And is it easily bent back out of shape? No.
Yeah, you just said it's easily bent back.
No, I am referring to no. The moment you need to use some force in order to bend it back, and it needs some force, not as easy. It's easy enough for you. 1 second, let me finish. In a case, we don't have to reach, the level that only if you send it to a professional, a silversmith to fix, then it's makabeh patish. That's not what I care about. What I care about, how much energy must you put into bending it back into shape. If it's like a plastic disposable cup where you don't put any energy, my 1-year-old can do it, then it's not an issue. She can bend it back into shape. She usually just bends it out of shape, not back into shape. But nonetheless, it's very easy. But a Kiddush cup, the way my Kiddush cup got bent the first day we bought it is by my kid picking it up and dropping it on the floor. It needed some force. Okay?
So it's not easily bent back.
Easily in terms that you can do it yourself, but usher because you need to have energy involved. Okay?
Yeah, it's just a little more than.
Okay, this is now new material, and it's dealing with, of course, Tikkun Kli, but it's not really based on rules that we've said thus far, and it has to do with the following, as you see on the screen, inserting straps into clothing on Shabbos. So in here we will discuss inserting shoelaces into shoes on Shabbos, as you see in this picture right here. Okay? Can you put shoelaces into shoes on Shabbos? What do you guys say before we begin?
No.
No? Wow, you're machmer. Yes. I like you. Huh? Not new ones.
I wear it with no.
You avoid the issue.
Yes.
Calvin Klein.
That's it. No, that's my size.
So let's analyze.
Well, no, it's different. I mean, it's a different situation if the laces have been in.
If it's the first time, no.
One came out versus you didn't, the new laces, and you're putting them, there would probably be distinction.
Right.
Okay, so we'll see. You guys are learning good.
Finishing touch of some kind.
But it also relates to, by the way, sweatpants. If you ever notice sweatpants they make with a little elastic, like a little string, what if that came out on Shabbos or partially came out? Can you fix that? Can you put that back in?
No.
So let's see.
It takes a lot of
The
effort.
question is what we know, we have to say, why wouldn't we be allowed?
So let's see. So this is a halacha that's actually brought down in chapter 317, Shin Yud Zayin, which deals with the halachis of tying and untying knots on Shabbos. But it's entered into there, and really it's the malach of tikkun kli. That's what it deals with. Okay? So the Alter Rebbe rules the following way. There are cases that it's allowed, and there are cases that it's not allowed. Now, well, we'll get to the sweatpants soon. Let's deal with the shoes. Now, even in the cases that it's not allowed, there are heterim of doing it in a way that's allowed, as we will learn. Okay, so that's 3 points. Inserting the straps of a shoe and sandal into its hole. So again, whenever you're inserting it, right, I think we can agree that a shoe that requires laces to be laced into it and tied is kind of not usable without laces. You know the story of the old pauper that walks to the philanthropist and he tells him, can you afford please to donate me a pair of shoelaces? He says, of course, shoelaces, they're so cheap. I'll give you as many pairs as you want. He says, beautiful, because after that, then you can start donating me the shoes. Anyways, so shoelaces without shoes are useless, and shoes without shoelaces won't work very well. So I think we can agree that entering a shoelace into a shoe is finishing its touch, it's making it usable. So if it's in the factory and it's about for the first time ever, it's now going to come out, it's now going to have its shoelaces inserted into it, even though it's very easy to do. Anyone can enter shoelaces into shoes. Everybody can do it. Nonetheless, this is the finishing touch of making it a usable vessel. Once again, emphasizing the point that it's not about effort and it's not about professionalism. It's about actions. Can you sell a shoe without shoelaces? If you ordered shoes from, I don't know, Doc Martens, and they sent you their boots without shoelaces, you would have a phone call with them. Okay?
Unless it was written, indicated that they come without.
To save it. But otherwise, okay, people send with shoelaces inserted, that's part of the product. So bottom line is that the Alter Rebbe rules, we'll read it inside. A new shoe, which never yet had its straps fastened. Straps is because this is Alter Rebbe referring to sandals, not shoelaces. The sandals was the big walking item back in the day. Yeah, but here in Israel it's also, but it's not the same type. The sandals back then were like, Hummers. They were like, serious stuff. Okay, it's forbidden for one to insert the strap on Shabbos, and that doing so is tikkun kli. Simple. Awesome. So for the first time in its life, when you're now being mechanech, you're doing, right, chanukas hanalayim, for the first time to enter the shoelaces into the shoe is forbidden. It says in Shulchan Aruch, we learned this, that shoes are the most important garment that you need to own. It says, even sell the walls of your house for the sake of good shoes. It's brought down as a halacha. So you're doing Chanukas hanalayim, you're entering the shoelaces on Shabbos, that's also min haTorah. So easy to do and so easy to transgress. Okay, so that's for the first time. But most of the times that this will come up is when it's not the first time. It already came with shoelaces. And you now need to switch it. It ripped or whatever it is, you want to put in new ones, okay? Let's say it ripped on Shabbos and it's very difficult to walk with your Shabbos shoes without shoelaces. So you have a new pair, can you enter them into it? So then the halacha is as follows. Whether or not it will be tikkun kli will be measured by, anyone can tell me?
The force it takes.
Beautiful, very good. This goes right on line with you see, it's all following the same rules, okay? The Alter Rebbe writes like this. Furthermore, even reinserting the strap was only permitted by a wide hole, which it can be inserted into without effort. However, if the hole is narrow to the point that one needs effort to enter the strap into it, then it is not considered like he is reinserting into it, but rather like he is fixing it for the first time, and it's also because of tikkun kli. So, to make it very simple and practical, if your holes of your shoe, for the shoelaces, have those little metal rims, which basically makes it be a large hole that you just put the strings through effortlessly, it's mutter to switch new shoelaces on Shabbos. Okay, it's mutter in such a case to put in. The truth is, let me mention an important point. One second. No, before I forget. there's a machlokes in the Poskim, in the Achreinim, if this allowance that I just mentioned, when it's effortless and it's not the first time, is only to replace back your old shoelaces. Like, for example, this has happened to me. Now I've just moved on to non-shoelace shoes for Shabbos, but when you have lots of kids at home, someone is bound to play with your shoes and take out those shoelaces. So now I just have, I don't have shoelaces on my Shabbos shoes. Avoid the whole issue. But if that happens, so it's the same old shoelace, we say, everyone agrees, if it's, the holes are still good, you have the metal rim, or it's just very big holes, and it's very easy, then it's mutter. But to take new shoelaces, some say, I agree with you, it's not technically from the aspect of the shoe, because the shoe is old, and it's easy, but it's technically for the aspect of the shoelace. Remember the story with the poor man, right? Shoelaces also aren't fixed till they got themselves shoes. So what about from the shoelaces perspective? We've got to be fair. From the shoelaces perspective, now we're having Chanukas shoelaces. So from the shoelaces perspective, it's tikkun clean. So rules the El Yerabba and other Achreinim. Other Achreinim, however, argue, and they say, no, we don't care about the shoelace. The shoelace is an accessory. Not everyone has equal rights. And therefore, we don't view the new shoelace to be a whole big deal that he's considered to have tikkun kli done to him. From the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, let's just take a face value that he's done with this halacha. What does it seem like? How does he hold in this debate? Can I put in new shoelaces or can't I?
You're talking about brand new for the first time, or
Yeah, brand new shoelaces. No. Brand new shoelaces for the first time. But the shoe, it's a replacement.
No, it's fixing.
But how do you get it from the Alter Rebbe? All the Alter Rebbe said is as follows. New shoes, first time ever putting in shoelaces, usher. We all agree. It doesn't matter how easy it is to put it in. But if it's not the first time, then he makes a distinction. If it's easily put in effortlessly, then it is mutter. If it is not effortlessly put in, then it is usher. The fact that he omits and does not mention another important condition, don't put in new shoelaces, implies that he doesn't hold of it.
Yeah, but first of all, who's new shoelaces just sitting around? And if you do,
Who doesn't? I don't know. People do. Why not?
No, yeah, but you have to go find them. You have to make sure they're the right
Say
ones.
this, so very good. So the Alter Rebbe should mention it to us in order so we know.
Old shoelaces to insert in your shoe.
Right, in case like your kid takes it out. So that would
So
make sense.
the way I wrote it in the new edition, this is not in the old edition, this halacha, is that it is implied from the Alter Rebbe that it's mutter. It's implied that it's mutter because he doesn't mention a new condition. Okay, he doesn't mention another condition. But nonetheless, the best thing would be already Erev Shabbos what's going on. Fix it before Shabbos. Don't enter into a machlekes. Take out your new shoelaces. And by the way, even if we held it's mutter, usually new shoelaces, they come sometimes with like a little sticker,
piece of plastic,
and that removing that sticker is a shiloh of kireya. So you're just entering into so many problems. So just the best thing is, your shoelaces need to be fixed. Don't wait for Shabbos.
But that's the thing, all these halachot, the book would be this thin if everything were done before Shabbos and all these shaylos wouldn't
Correct.
come up.
Bottom line is like this. I would say to a person in such a case that if you don't have any other Shabbos shoes available, it's going to look really strange. You're going to be the laughing stock of the community walking in with your white sneakers on Shabbos. And that's okay. You can be makel, even if it's new shoelaces. If it's the first time ever, you can't be makel. So don't come to shul. We're not going to make someone transgress Shabbos just so we can come to shul. There's no such thing. Stay at home. But if it's a case that it's a chumrah, the Maisa, the implication is like the lenient opinion. So in such a case, but there's also another way we can do it. We'll see soon in a way that there's a heter of doing things.
But the more likely thing that happens is your shoelaces come out, and you want to put them back in, but
Very good.
They're hard to put in because they're not new.
Very good. So good. Very, very good. And that's our next case. To reinsert into a narrow hole is asr. Now, you're asking a case, the following, very interesting case. If I know, let's say, the rim came out, or some sneakers didn't even have a rim, it's always difficult to put it in. And the shoe manufacturer is building on the fact that your shoelace will have a plastic, like surrounding piece that will help make it easy to put in. So if you have that piece and it's very easily put in, then you're still good. Doesn't matter why it's easy to put in from the shoes perspective or the shoelace perspective. Bottom line is it's easy to put in. But if you don't have that and it's difficult to put in, then in such a case, it would be usher to do it even if this is your fifth shoelace for this shoe. It doesn't, fifth pair. Doesn't matter because it's difficult. And this goes back to what we said before. The cup that's the plastic disposable cup that bent out of shape can do it. You can push it back into shape to drink. But the silver Kiddush cup takes more effort as us.
So as long as we're on that point, just to make it totally crystal clear, the shoelaces that are easy to put in are just like the plastic cup issue and the hat issue, that it's the same category.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Correct. Now, you're asking a good question, which is also very common. And that is the shoelace came out of, let's say, the first 2 or 3 holes. So we would apply the same law. If it's easy to put in, you're good. But if your shoelace has already lost their little plastic piece and it's hard to put it in, you can't do it on Shabbos.
But say it happens during the day on Shabbos, and you're now going to trip over your shoelaces.
Yeah, just make
Double
it
tie,
tight.
do
Make
a
it tight.
double bow. Do a double bow, you know.
Why is it easy to fix a head turn? I mean, it doesn't make total sense. So why is it all of a sudden not considered?
Because it's not viewed as fixing by people. And the same way we don't view it as fixing, the Torah doesn't either view it as fixing.
Okay, the definition of boundary.
Yeah.
Easy fix is not a fix.
Okay. We have one more important piece of information here before I come to the Heterim. And that is, meaning even the Heterim would be even for a difficult hole to enter into. And that is the following. It is only mutter, the Chum made a decree, and this is why it's actually found in chapter 317, which is dealing with tikkun, is dealing with tying and untying. If any of you, in certain boots, or anyone who has army boots, like I used to have for 3 years, and in Miluim, so there is, the shoelaces don't enter on both sides. Meaning most shoes you put in from one side and the other side, and then they eventually meet and you make the shidduch and do the tying. Okay, with both sides. That's not how it works in army boots. In army boots is you have only one direction. Okay, you put the shoelace through the hole and you just keep going. You swiggle. It's really annoying. It takes a long time to do it. Very annoying. Yeah. Swiggle it in, takes like 5 minutes. You do the whole swiggle until finally you get all the way to the top. Now, what do we do in order so it stick? So because, right, if you keep on pushing, then it's just going to go out from the bottom. So what do? So you have to make a knot on the bottom. You have to make a strong knot on the bottom so it doesn't move. And you make a strong knot on top. The Chachamim said that those type of shoelaces, you cannot enter at all on Shabbos. I don't care if it's the first time, the 5th time, new shoelaces, old shoelaces. It happens all the time. I don't care. It is a problem to do because of the tying aspect. It doesn't matter how easy it is because you make them to tie, and tying on Shabbos is awesome. So army shoelaces cannot be entered into shoelaces cannot be entered into army boots on Shabbos or any boots of that type.
So they're just a sort of Shabbat.
You can wear them. You can wear them. You just cannot enter shoelaces into them.
Okay.
So if I want to redo my shoelaces, let's say my shoelaces are messed up. They're not even. Right? I want to make them even. They look like the tefillin straps, one size longer than the other. So I'm allowed to take it out on Shabbos if it's easy holes and put it back in. Right? I can. One second. By a regular shoe, I can take off my shoelaces and redo them properly. Okay? Because it's an easy hole. It's not the first time. Everything's fulfilled here according to everybody. But by an army boot shoelace, which we often would need to undo it in order to just take off the boot from my shoe. You can't, because you can undo it, but you cannot put it then back in. That would be a problem. Okay, so therefore the best thing is not to wear army boots on Shabbos, even if you made them look nice, and because of this issue of the tying. Okay, any questions on this? So the truth is, I found a way of doing it with a halachically kosher knot, which I can do even on Shabbos, and therefore even during the week, there wasn't much of a gzeira for me, because I would end up doing it with a kosher knot. Anyways. Okay, the Alter Rebbe then goes on to before I get to the term, let's just deal with the last halacha he mentions here, and that's inserting straps into clothing. That's the case of the sweatpants, or also a hood of a sweater. Okay, a sweater hood. Those hoodies that they have the strings, it partially came out. Can you fix it? The answer is no. I'll tell you it's like this. The same laws apply by the straps of pants, and I'll add sweaters and any of those sweats, etc. And the reason is because they are permanently entered into them. They are permanently entered into them. It's to complete, very simple. Oh, 1 second. And But then continues, however, belts are allowed to be initially inserted into pants on Shabbos, being that he does not nullify it there, as it is made to constantly insert and remove. And therefore, it does not pose a problem fixing a vessel. So if you have a pair of pants that has permanent belt, it's a problem. If it's not a permanent belt, it goes in and goes out, then it is not to complete. It's not meant to stay. However, to put in a string to the straps of pants almost likely would involve effort, and it's considered, and it's meant to stay there, so therefore it's considered malacha. Yeah, what's your question?
What kind of straps go into pants?
We're talking about sweatpants, strings. Yeah, or like a hoodie, as I said, the hoodie of a sweater. They have these hoodies with the strings.
Yeah.
So if those got messed up, you cannot redo them on Shabbos.
I see.
Yeah, that's a problem to do on Shabbos. I'll tell you the truth, I don't even know how to do it during the week. Well, my sweatpants.
Yeah, so
I'm Achmir, I've tried, and it's just like, I give up. But how do you get it all the way through? It's like.
That's why you put a safety pin so that you can feel it through in the hole and you slowly slide it through. It's annoying.
It is, it's very annoying.
I think this was prohibited like on Shabbos because it's so frustrating doing that. It's like rude as your It takes away any symptom.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get to the Heterim. This is a summary of what we just learned. The Heterim will be next. 1 second. So let's just read it. Summary: it is forbidden to interlace in the following cases. So there's 3 cases from what we just learned. Again, in the Alter Rebbe and Shin Yud Zayin Sefhei, 317 Halacha 5, that it's usher to insert laces. Number 1, if it's the first time, not from the laces perspective, from the shoe's perspective, first time for this shoe, and one intends to permanently leave it there, right? That's usually what happens with laces. Number 2, if it's not the first time, the holes are small and it's therefore difficult to enter the lace. Number 3, it's not the first time, the holes are not small, so it's easy, but you usually make a permanent knot at the end of the lace, and therefore we have a decree not to do it on Shabbos. So now let's deal with the shiloh of the guy who, doesn't have shoelace. The shoelace is ripped from his shoe, doesn't have other shoes available, and he wants to enter new shoelaces into his, or just enter his old shoelaces, but he lost the plastic piece on top, back into the hole. What do you tell this guy on Shabbos? Bottom line, the guy has either new shoes or old shoes with very, very tough holes, okay? With very difficult holes, which we said is usher. What do we tell this guy? As a Rav, is there an eitzah? Is there a workaround for him to be able to wear Shabbos shoes on Shabbos?
You mean there's no other option? In other words, he would go shoeless if he doesn't use them?
Yeah, or stay at home, or go to shul. He would stay home. Is there another option? Is there a workaround? That's my question. So as a Rav, you have to start thinking, original thinking, into coming up with an eitzah based, in other words, that God created Jewish law in a way that even when many books have been written, he always leaves some subjects or some ideas not written that you can think of. And so too here, even though what I'm about to say is not explicitly written in the Shulchan Aruch, the later Achreinim of today's generation do discuss this in their tshuvas. It's brought in the Kseiso Shulchan, the Bremoshe, and other Achreinim. And they write as follows. Let's think about let's understand the basis and premises of the prohibition of shoelacing a shoe on Shabbos. You're adding an item to the shoe, making it usable through adding the item, doing a finishing touch, and it's going to remain there. And that's explicitly written in actual words. It's written as follows. One second. But regarding entering the straps of the pants, he explicitly mentions that since it remains there, that's why it's usher. By a belt, since it goes in and out, it's mutter. From this, they learn that if we can set up a shoelacing of the shoe in a way that you will be forced to take it out after Shabbos, then you didn't do tikkun kli. It's not permanent. It's not going to remain. I turned it into a belt. How do you turn a shoelace into a belt? So they came up with a few ideas. You go through your shoelace closet, find yourself neon pink shoelaces. Who's gonna remain with neon pink shoelaces, especially after the remarks he gets that first Shabbos?
You never know these days. This is the new style in Tel Aviv.
Goodbye sneakers.
I'm talking about Shabbos. So you're right. If it's somebody who would leave it there, that's part of the dress code, then it's no good. The heter wouldn't work. Look at the shoes right here. Would this go with a neon pink, a neon green?
But he said only in Tel Aviv.
On Tel Aviv, right? So that's one case example, because you're forced to redo it. You're forced to take it out. You will take it out. Another case example is as follows.
It still has to go in easily, right?
No, even if it doesn't, because I'm not leaving there. It's like a belt.
Oh, okay.
Another case is like this. I will skip a few holes on the bottom and only put the shoelace through the upper holes. So it works. It looks weird. No one's going to wear their shoe like that. And it will force you to redo it after Shabbos. So these are cases. I think so.
In other words, okay. So
The question is, would he be willing to show his face in public looking like a shlamasa? That's the question.
It could do a little season, might have a great, it would work.
So Shlomas or Shlomim?
The shlemiel was it when he, when shlemiel was it when I guess his shoelace is ripped.
Yeah.
But okay. So they're not. The truth is, when you think of, even though they're heterim, when you think about it, who's going to be able to really use this? They'll probably feel embarrassed or ashamed to walk out like that. And again, the best way to just avoid this whole issue on Shabbos, we don't wear tefillin, so we don't have to tie our shoes. During the week, there's an inyan to tie your shoes. Remember the tefillin, you tie the left one and the right one. On Shabbos, we don't wear tefillin, so you can get shoelaces, without shoelaces. Okay, slip-ons. Okay, this is the end of shoelaces. Any questions?
One simple question. The idea of usability, you could come away from this part of the lecture and say, oh, usability is required to basically make it us, but it's not usability, right? Use the place.
So this is the chiddush, right? It's not just usability, it's also permanence, which is not so simple. In other words, I'll give you an example. Let's talk about the bobby pin case, okay, or the safety pin. Even if I plan on throwing it out the next second, so it was temporarily done, it's still tikkun kli. We don't care about how long you plan on using it for. But here in this case, the shoe is permanent and the piece I'm adding is temporary. It goes in and out all the time. So in that type of case, we say that a temporary addition that's not meant to last is not considered a real addition to the vessel. It's not considered usher.
What I was thinking about was the fact that even if it wasn't usability or permanence, you have the issue that even like the design on the vessel, laces could be, they're decorative, even they could be usher, right? If they were just
Right, but if the decorations on vessels are meant to stay, they don't last, If somebody I agree with you, somebody used invisible ink that disappears within an hour to make a design on the vessel, I agree with you, would not transgress tikkun kli. Writing, correct, but not tikkun kli. He would only transgress rabbinically writing because it doesn't last.
So if my laces broke and I only had the neon pink laces, so I could use them.
Yeah.
So the question is whether, and if you don't go, you stay home and don't go to shul on Shabbos.
Correct.
So it would seem to me that you should use the pink laces and go.
You don't have to embarrass yourself. No.
But if you're assuming you only have one pair of shoes.
No, that's the only, assuming that's the only
Correct.
option. So
Correct.
you stay home. or
You don't
not.
have a chiyuv to embarrass yourself. You're allowed to stay home and not go to shul because it's shameful.
No, you're missing
And
all the
not
mitzvahs and
Spiritually.
And malasot. What can you do?
You wear the pink. You wear the pink in the same
It's
time.
permanent. You can't leave the tape on your shoe. You wouldn't even.
What tape? Tape?
Piece of tape.
What do you mean, to tape your shoe
Yeah,
together?
you don't have the shoelaces, you're not gonna mess with.
That's a whole different,
How do you tape your shoes together?
Not together, just close.
It's a problem of taifer, to tape anything together on Shabbos, even temporarily.
Even temporarily.
Yeah, it's a different malacha. Anytime you deal with glue, sticky stuff, it's a sticky subject.
Okay, so what about just wrapping a string around underneath your shoe, so you don't put it in the holes?
Right, so yeah, that would also work, because you're forced to redo it after
Yeah, you
Shabbos.
make a bow, it's not a permanent knot, so you don't put it in the holes, you just wrap it around your shoe.
But it's still kind of, okay, yeah, you can be creative. You can be creative and come up with your own.
Great.
Does it work, or like, let's say that you put it through the holes, but then you tuck it in, you tuck it into, you tuck it under instead of tying it, so it's suggesting impermanence.
No, it doesn't
That
matter.
doesn't work.
Because, yeah, well, so after Shabbos, you just tie it and leave it
Put a
there.
sock over the whole thing, take a black sock and put it on and hold it in place.
Okay, let's now deal with this question. Just a second. Okay, it may want to attach the wool lining of a coat on Shabbos. So many coats, I personally have a coat like this, bought in New York, London Fog. It's a London Fog coat. And it has an inner lining like this guy does over here. Right, exactly, with a zipper. So in the summer, when it's raining, you just wear it without the inner lining because you don't need to get heated up. But in the winter, you put it back in. So the Paiskin deal with the Shaila if you're allowed to attach it on Shabbos.
Yes.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, it's not, but that comes in out.
Yeah, so it's gonna take it out after.
It's for sure not a permanent.
something that's temporarily removed and put back in again.
So usually it's this is what you're touching on, the subject of what they discuss, the back and forth. It's not so simple, this case. It's not like the case of the neon green laces, which you're not going to walk another extra second with them. You're going to leave this lining in the whole winter. It's going to stay the whole, and I've seen that in my coat when I put it in. I leave it the whole winter. I don't take it out until I remember, my gosh, it's really, really hot in this coat.
Yeah, I have the same issue, so you just have to remember not to insert it on Shabbos.
So some place can rule that it's usher. Because of this, it's considered, we view the length of time as a permanent attachment, and therefore it's not similar to the belt case. Therefore, they hold it's usher. Other place can take a more lenient approach, and they say in the end of the day, it's meant to be removed in and out. It's like a person that decided he has special Shabbos pants and he has special Shabbos belt. He decided to leave it in the belt in there for 6 months. That's what had happened. It happened that state. We're going to say it's permanent. It's meant to be taken out. So this is a debate. It's a debate amongst the Paiskin of whether it's allowed or not. Amongst today's Paiskin, I'll tell you between who and who are the players here in the field. Hilchos Yaakov and the Shevet HaLevi. Hilchos Yaakov was the father of the Minchas Yitzchak. He was a big Rav in Europe. He ruled its Aser. Shmuel HaLevi Vosner also ruled its Aser. He was the Rav in Bnei Brak. And other Paiskin held that it is allowed. We don't view the length here as permanency because it's not meant to be that way. No, Alter doesn't discuss this. And he doesn't give us enough information to be able to conclusively deduce like one way or another.
So what do we do?
You ask a rabbi.
The breakdown of Ramah versus Machaber?
If you ask me, what I would tell you is not to put it on Shabbos, put it on before Shabbos. That's absolutely what I would tell you.
There's nothing to worry about the discussion at all.
And then of course he would mention to me, but then you don't need this whole book.
That's the whole point, you do everything before Shabbos, you don't think about it.
So Ramah versus Machaber, Sfardim versus Ashkenazim issue, this is not one of those.
No, we don't have information to.
Nobody's even thinking about this stuff on Shabbos.
Okay, guys, so listen, we didn't get as far as I wanted, but we almost did. I wanted to get today to page 43, instead we got to page 41. So it's as follows, okay? We will cover in next week's class, Emeretz Hashem, from page 41 until the end of the chapter. But that's building on the fact that you guys will review from page 43. You can review from page 41 also, but 41 to 43 we'll do fully in class. And from 43 till the end of the chapter, we're only going to do like hazily, and I'm going to base it on your review of the subject. And once again, you have homework, okay? You have to go into this book. The information is available in your course. Let me show you right now where it is, okay? Look over here. Okay, so this is This is where the class is. If you want to review the class, just go into PowerPoints, and I'm going to put the class in right here. So this PowerPoint we didn't do yet. Huh?
Everything's there and books there.
Everything is there. So no, the book, look, 1 second. Let's go into student mode and I'll show you.
This is in Canvas.
This is in Canvas. This is student view. Okay, so this is what you see right now. So you got to go.
This one doesn't have this.
Sorry about that.
That's what we said.
Okay. You got to go into learning curriculum. Right over here. Click on learning curriculum, links for the reading material. So this contains the links for everything you need to know in this chapter. So this is just general. This is not where you're going. You're going to go over here. You know what I see? It's all mixed together. So I'm going to do like this. In the announcements, I'm going to put, did you guys see the announcement for last week? Huh? You did. Did you see the announcement I put in?
I'm not in this
Did
one.
you see the?
No,
Right.
We're not in yet.
Oh, you're not in yet? Did you see announcement?
I don't know, I got an email with the announcement.
Oh, so you did see it.
Yeah, I got it by email.
Good. So I'm going, because you have to sign up for it.
Right.
You decide what to subscribe for. So subscribe for announcement and have an announcement every week after class to see what you have to do. So I'm going to include the links, okay, in the announcement. And you'll just use those links to get to the material.
Okay, those of us who are just going through the book to get everything from the beginning until what you did today, what are the pages corresponding in part 2 Shabbos? Everything from the beginning till what we did today.
Till today?
Yeah, till today, where do we end today?
Till today is until page 41.
Okay, 41, and then you want, whoever wants to, or whatever, your formal people, non-formal people, we should learn until 41?
From page 41 until the end of the chapter, which is page, I think, 55, yeah.
And this will all be accessible as well, if like I can't come to the class.
Yeah, 100%, of course it's accessible. I'm putting it on, I'm gonna shut down the stream and put the link up.
You said something about 45, something like that.
Your Bank of America account is